Hey, it's that time, y'all. Come on in. I know it's been so long. My goodness. Come on in. It's Monday. We're going to get this thing started off, right? I hope most of y'all that was off today got to enjoy the day. Of course, if you didn't know, today is Indigenous People Day. So we want to take the time to celebrate, thank them for all of the work that they did before those that came in to infiltrate the land came here to take over. We want to make sure that we take the time out to acknowledge the mistreatment and the things that they endured in order for them to get to this place, the hardships that they are still going through, some of the things such as they still don't have running water, they don't have good schooling or education, should I say. They are just still struggling, all because of what happened when the land was infiltrated. So take the time out today and thank an Indigenous person that you know today, or even those that you may not know, just take the time out to thank them for all of their hard work, dedication, and their perseverance. So, with that being said, I'm still giving y'all time to come in. Thank you so much for joining. Hi, I appreciate you coming and stopping by. I know you're on your way to work, so thank you so much for taking that time. Those of you that don't know, I really want to take the time to say welcome. I am your girl, the one that they call Miss Quita. I am your host. And well, of course, every second and fourth Monday, we do this thing, give you 30 minutes of just some goodness, right? Some wholesome, good, hearty food that we call resiliency. And by doing that, then we take this time out. We do, right now, we're doing our mid month fill up. So get your mid month fill up by making sure that you guess what you find out about these quirky unique topics that we use, and we take the time out to teach you how to be more resilient in your day-to-day life. And because life doesn't stop, we don't either. So here at Real Resilient Conversations, once again, a part of Real Resilient Consulting, I'm sorry, yes, Resilient Consulting, we want to thank you for joining us. Your time is valuable, and so we will continue to push forward. So all right, if this is your first time, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. If you are back, welcome back, my R2Cs, my Real Resilient Conversation crews. I appreciate you for stopping by. I love, and adore you. This is the day. It is a Monday. We want to start our week off right, and we are starting off by utilizing the topic, hitting on the topic, I guess I should say. How did I fall for that? Right? How many times have you said that? How did I fall for that? And and because we're talking about how did I fall for that, I really want you to think on the things in your life, or you are wondering that very same question. You asked yourself, how did I fall for that? And we're gonna hit on some topics. I really want you to really take some time to think back on it when I speak on it, and how that influenced your life, how it has gotten you to this place, and how you can really push forward to the next level of your life, right? So come on in, kick your shoes off, get you a snack because we got 30 minutes of goodness. I have already talked about 5 minutes of my time just doing the introduction. So let's get this thing going. All right. For those of you who know how to do my R2Cs, my Real Resilient Conversation people, I really want you to let these people know. For your first timers, if it's your first time, hold on tight. I got some goodness for you. But those that come and are my part of my crew, part of my family, let them know down below in the comment section what you think. How did I fall for that? Has to do with your resilient walk, and because this is a daily thing, right? A day to day walk. How does that have anything to do with your resiliency? And so I really want you to take the time out, and while you are writing that down in the chat, make sure that you like, share, subscribe, tag somebody just so they know this might be something that they might want to hear, right? Or if it's not for you, it may be for someone else, right? If not for today, but maybe for someone in the future. You never know who needs to see it on your timeline, right? So I really want you to think about some of the things, right? Some of the things that I've heard of when I think of how in the world did I fall for that? That's crazy. That sounds insane. Is what? Number one would be the tooth fairy, right? You got this maniac that jumps in, that flies in for somehow, flies in and steals your teeth in exchange for money. That sounds a little creepy, right? But as a child, we just knew that I needed to get my tooth underneath this pillow because I want some money. And so if you think about it, the things like the tooth fairy, Santa Claus. So really you got this crazed man that's watching you all year long. And the only way you're able to give a gift is if you leave cookies and milk. What if you didn't have a chimney? What if you were good one day but bad the other day? Does that mean you only get part of the gift this year and part the next year? Like these are the things that kind of blew my mind when I was thinking about as a child, what were the things that we were falling for or that we believed to be true, and we held on to it. It was our truth, right? When we heard it. And because of this, I even remember knowing or growing up that if you're good to people, they'll be good to you, right? Because biblically, I just thought if I'm good to people, God will bless me and people will be good to me, right? Not always the truth and not always how it ends up, right? And so, because it does not always end that way, we have to be mindful and be realistic in our thinking and in our way ahead, right? The way that we going to proceed. Um, what's another one? What's another one, y'all? Okay. It said, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Guess what? And it will not be a third time. It will not be a third time. Let me tell you something. And I have to admit, in the past, I've gone back into relationships that I probably shouldn't have, ventured back into. But I allowed myself back into those relationships because I was like, oh, well, maybe they've grown, they've developed. And then by the time the second time happens, I'm like, oh, shame on me for even thinking that the second time around would be better. Right. And sometimes it is better, but very rarely does that happen. All right. So, I want to just really welcome you all to fall season. I know that it is fall. If it is your first time coming in, welcome. I would like to thank you so much for taking the time out to give me some of that pumpkin spice, whatever you're having, pumpkin spice cake, pumpkin spice latte, pumpkin spice with that little cream cheese in the middle. I will take it. I'll deal with the repercussions later. I hope you're enjoying it. I know some of you are have pulled out your trench coats, your pea coats, your Uggs, your fall boots with the fur around the edge of it, whatever it is that you're wearing. But it's some of us that's still in our t-shirts, leggings, shorts, because it's still 90-degree weather. Some of y'all have some bipolar weather. Y'all have bipolar weather, so y'all still wearing shorts and tank tops or shorts and what is it, hoodies, because you think somebody else do it or because it's just cold in some places, hot in other places, so you don't know which one to do, right? So when you're talking about fall season, I really want to thank you all for joining and to acknowledge the fact that fall is here, and yet there's still some things that we are falling for and falling over that we need to really hit on so we can become better people and better at who we can become for those that are around us, right? And so what I really want to talk about starting off is life is tricky, and often we find ourselves falling for things and falling over people, over situations that we really knew better, but we didn't take the time to acknowledge it. We just kind of went with it because we just go with the flow. And going with the flow is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's not always a good thing, right? Because then you find yourself tripping into things that you never thought you would be a part of. And so we have a lot of different situations with a lot of different people, a lot of different interactions that we come across in our lifetimes. And because those relationships become more complex the older that we get, it becomes a little trickier on how we kind of go about figuring those things out. And so because we have to figure out what's really right or wrong or what's good and bad when it comes to those people that we allow into our life and into our space. And because I have heard that people have even become tricked into their sexuality. They have fallen into a different lifestyle in their intimate relationship statuses because they didn't necessarily want to do it, but they fell into it because they just wanted to be a part of something. They wanted to feel loved, only to find out that they were still being hurt in the end, right? But you have to be sure about who you are, what you are, and what you want. And you have to verbalize those very things. And when you don't verbalize them, then you end up in a situation where either one or both are in a a bitter situation. And so my goal today is to really help you to not become bitter, but to become better, as I am yet still on that growth of not allowing myself to fall into bitterness, but to continue to be better. And so with this life journey of growth, uh, we have to be more cognitive of the things that are going on around us and within us, right? And so on a more serious note, we have to talk about things like human trafficking, right? They have fallen into these situations or been tricked into these situations where it sounds too good to be true, and usually it's too good to be true, and so now they have found themselves in involuntary servitude, bondage, slavery, any type of exploitation that you can think of. I have to be very mindful of my words. So the exploitation that comes about. Some people fell into these situations simply because they wanted to feel like they belonged, right? And because of that, then they find themselves in abusive relationships, neglectful. Their ignorance kicks in because they didn't know. No one has taught them. They were sheltered all of their lives, right? Social media has told them what they should look like, how they should be, what they should do. And because they have been targeted by certain social media aspects, now these things become harder. They become a moment of truth, a moment of frustration, right? We don't want to think about it, but then they try to fit in. So then they get into gangs, or they get into manipulation, any type of criminal activity, or they are controlled simply because they want to feel like they belong, or they have fallen into that situation, right? When I hear about these women that have fallen into any type of trafficking, and they end up and they say, how did I fall into this? How did I end up in these situations? And it really is troubling, right? It is something that is very dear to me, because I want to make sure people understand that we fall into things every day, situations, frustrations, disappointments daily, right? And because I have never been secretive about it, you all know that I am very, very transparent about my life. And I do that because what's going on with me is not just for me. It's not just for Miss Quita. It is for everyone else in the entire world that has dealt with something on the same level, the same situation. And guess what? There are people that are homeless, that have fallen into homelessness. There are people that have fallen into some type of addiction, right? And they're still asking the question, how, why, how, why, what could I have avoided, right? And the things that I really want you to think about, Pastor Daniel said, when we see something, we automatically say we want it. And we're like, oh, that looks good, I want that, right? When it goes for food, it goes for dating, it goes for a lot of different things, right? Success, it goes for cars, it goes for houses, it goes for status, right? People see it, but they don't understand what goes into it to get to that point, right? What type of things they had to sacrifice, what type of mindset they had to adapt to, what type of disciplines they had to go through in order just to get to that person, or to have that type of relationship that they felt like was less than or equal to, or when specifically when you're talking about intimate relationships, there are times where you're like, oh, I want to be just like them, and you don't understand what goes on behind closed doors, right? So I really want you to know that sometimes it's a trap, because social media will make everything look so good. Yet it's a trap. It is a trap, right? Because Dr. Daniels also told me, or he said it in one of his messages, that maybe next time that you make plans, because God is he has a sense of humor. When you make plans, make sure you put it in pencil. And the reason I say that is because you need to put it in pencil, because God will always change your plans. When you put it in pen, you feel like it has to stay that way. Then that's when we find ourselves going against the grain of what we should be doing versus what God is telling us we should be doing, right? And so I really think I want you to think about what works for some may not work for others, right? And the way that they have gone about doing it is not the way that you may go about doing it. So one thing that I spoke with one of my friends about recently is that I have found myself falling for the same trap. Now, your story may be a little different than my story. It may be how much money you spend on shopping. It may be how much time you spend on social media. You might find yourself falling into the trap of um, not giving yourself enough self care, right? The things, whatever you're falling for, whatever the trap that you have found yourself into, insert that into here, right? But I have found myself falling for the same trap over and over again, especially intimate relationships where I've wanted to be a married woman, I wanted to have children, and yet I seem to attract men that say that they want these things. But when it comes time for the work that has to go into it, it is like they run for the hills, right? Or they say that they want it, but they don't want the accountability. They don't want the communication. It is something that people say that they want, and yet they don't want to work towards. They don't want to work for. So as long as they're getting my energy, my time, my attention, my support, it works great. But as soon as I ask them or challenge them in some words or some views, the way that I challenge them is that I'm asking them to communicate with me. I'm asking them to be transparent with me. I'm asking them to be, as Pastor Mike Todd of Transformation Church say, he wants you to be hot, honest, open, and transparent. And if you cannot be that with me, that means that you are cold and lukewarm. And even the Bible say you either hot or cold. So if you are not hot, then there are a lot of things that you are avoiding, and I need not have any part of it, right? So this is also known as the nice guy complex. Excuse me, I have had allergies all day, so if I sneeze, excuse me. The nice guy complex. That simply means it's like when on the flip side, it's like a manipulation tactic to where you want to pretend to do something right only because you want something on the other side, right? So I have heard someone say that maybe I am being manipulative, and I thought to myself, my goodness, Quita, manipulative? Oh, darling, no. But it simply just means, and I don't think it's manipulative. I think it is very transparent. If I say I am looking to be a wife and I'm looking to have children, I tell people up front, I am not hiding that from you. I am not shielding that from you. And my result or the outcome that I'm looking for is for either that's what you want as well, or there's no dealings that we need to go forth from here forward, right? But someone told me that that is a manipulation tool. I had to disagree. However, I do agree that there are times where it is a interaction. It is very it is a exchange that is done, right? Anyone that is in love or like or lust or whatever, there's something that you want out of that other person, whether it is communication, whether it's finances, whether it's whatever. You want to make sure that there is an exchange, an even exchange, to where both parties feel that they are getting what they want out of it, right? I call it the return on investment. If the return on investment does not look like what I envisioned it doing, I usually pull my investment out. And so when we are looking at things such as finances, we're looking at how things are going in our lives, right? We expect the same return on investment in all aspects, right? Not just relationships, but on all aspects. So, what about when you go shopping, right? Or if you're spending too much money shopping, right? We have all fallen for things that sounded good, that looked good, but wasn't good for us. And when we have fallen, how did I fall for this? How did I fall for the upcharge? How did I fall for um, this thing in the aisle as I'm waiting to pay for my grocery? How did I fall for it? It just looked good, so I just threw it in the basket. I knew I was hungry, so I just got that candy bar anyway when I knew I said I was on a diet, right? How did you fall for what you knew that you didn't need? You knew it wasn't what you wanted, yet you still fell for it. Why do we fall for these things that are not what we want, that are not what we need, right? And it's because, simply because, I do apologize. I was trying to see if I was going to sneeze. um, Simply because it's Sounds good. Situations such as careers, especially those from other cultures, right? The career sounds good, or the careers what your parents, your family say that you will be. So you will be a doctor, you will be a scientist, you will be I don't know, whatever, fill in the blank, a lawyer, you will be, right? Because then they are telling you what you will be. And when this happens, um, your dream job illustrations, like it sounds like, oh, if I get this dream job, everything will be perfect, except for when you get the job, you worry about, or you look at how hard you have to work, or it's not all that it looked like on the commercials or on TV. It doesn't seem that glamorous once you're in there. These are the things that we fall for because it sounds good, it looks good. Somebody told us that we would make good money, and so we fall for it. uh oh goodness, I feel like I have to sneeze and I'm trying to hold it. um, so what about things like finances? So now we're trying to get this dream car, we're trying to get this house, all of this money, got all of these credit cards, all because we want to fit in with the Joneses. When we're doing this, we're putting ourselves at a higher risk of debt. And now we're wondering why we can't afford to do the minimal things that we used to be able to do, all because we're trying to fit in with someone else. We're trying to make it seem like it is something different than what it truly is. Consider, um, buying a house or buying a car or investing. And if you can't do it, then you can't do it. But be mindful of it, right? We're being pressured into doing these things because we feel like at a certain age, at a certain point in our life, this is what we should be doing. And for some people, it's just not like that, right? The health advice that we hear, trying to self-diagnose ourselves on Google. How many of y'all done it? I know you have. I know you have. Self-diagnosing, you're doing the fads, so you're doing the diets that everybody's saying to do. You are doing the cures or the miracle cures that somebody told you to do a cinnamon and it's going to help you lose weight, whatever it might be, right? And so then you're looking at what social media says that you should be, how you should be, what you should look like, what you should be dressing, all because they're trying to tell you what to do and how to be. Now you've fallen into this situation where how did I end up trying to look like someone else on the internet? I'm not talking like them, dressing like them, looking like them, instead of looking like me, instead of talking like me. And when I first started Real Resilient Conversation, somebody told me, why do you do like that? You need to talk like such and such, or you need to act like this person, and you need to structure your business and your company this way. And I had to politely remind them, I'm sorry, but this is how I do for my business. This is how I like to teach. This is how I like to train, which may be different than someone else. Every speaker has their own niche. And for me, mine is more personable. If I ever do a workshop, I love to interact with the people because I feed off of people and not just me talking to you as I'm doing now. However, I like to look at the comments even as I'm speaking now to see what is intriguing you. What are the things that you're understanding when I am speaking? Because it's very important. And so some of the areas that we have all kind of fallen for, let me break them down just a little bit, right? Number one would be happiness comes when we have everything that we want. How many of y'all know that's not true? How many of you have had the time where you thought you had everything that you wanted, everything that you needed, and still weren't happy? Because think about it. Everything that glitters does not gold, right? Sometimes we have to just stop and smell the roses. We have to appreciate the abundance that we already have in other areas in our lives. There were times that we prayed for it, right? Dr. Gregory Sloots, that's what he always says. There were times I prayed for times just like this. And are when you are thinking about your life and where you are, happiness is at this very moment. There is someone else wishing that they had the ability to breathe on their own, move their limbs, right? I just seen something where one of my friends had a stroke at the age of 31. Imagine how his life has changed at the age of 31, right? And yet we are blessed. Our happiness should be life, health, and strength on a daily. So when things don't go right, that's okay. but be grateful for the time that you have, right? The second would be thinking that life will happen a certain way. I am absolutely guilty of this. Thinking you should be married by a certain age, have children by a certain age, drive a certain car, have a certain house, have a successful business, uh, fill in the blank, right? And when it doesn't happen, then we are disillusioned and disappointed. When we are disappointed, it becomes um, a very big frustration in our life. So do you remember seeing the picture where it was like a curvy line and everything was going up around and around and around and up and down, and then there was a line that was straight across, and it was like this is how we think life should be, right? A straight line. However, what life really looks like, right? It is exactly that when it comes to dating, because dating in today's world, my goodness, is it a curvy line? When it comes to dating, it is not a straight line. It is not easy to find someone that you are compatible with, that wants the same things that you want, that want to have the same values that you have. It is very, very complicated. So when it comes to thinking that things will happen in a certain way at a certain time, it's just not realistic, right? The twists and turns that come with our lives. Sometimes we have to go with the flow and allow God to have his way. And then there are other times that we need to be very intentional. We have to have a plan. And even with our plan, we have to be mindful to be very malleable, right? Very bendable. Allow God to still come in and make a decision on what direction we need to go in. And the next would be if I had a bunch of money, bunch of money, a bunch of money. How many of y'all said if I hit the lotto today, I'd be happy? If I had a bunch of money, life would be great. But look at the successful people, right, that are in the world that have all this money and they still aren't happy. Look at their relationships; they still have fallen or failed marriages. They still have fallen relationships with their children, with their friends, right? These are people that have all the money in the world, and yet their bonds are very fragile, right? Very fractured. So even the Bible says, when we are weak, God is made strong, right? God makes us stronger even in our weakness. And so we have to really think about, even when I am weak, I have to tell people when I'm weak, when I'm having a painful day, a hard day. And when you have fibromyalgia like I do, there are good days and there are bad days. There are days that you have the energy and days that you are just faking it till you make it, right? Um, and I find myself feeling like I have to hide my pain. I have to always be strong. I have to continue to be superwoman. And when I'm not superwoman, then you know what I get. Well, what's wrong? Well, why are you doing that? Well, why didn't you come? Well, there's times that I just can't come. My strength just won't allow me. I am weak. I am not at my strongest, right? And the strength comes from me allowing God to have his way, to come in and really take care of me in those times when I can no longer take care of myself. And same thing goes with you, right? You have to um, allow the string of people that come into your life and try and dictate. You always have to be strong. Allow those people to continue to move on out of the way, because you deserve to be with someone and be in a place where you are happy, you are blessed, you are at peace, right? And because just like with children, if we raise them correctly, you think, okay, they won't fall for the trap of what society is doing because I raised them a certain way, right? I have correctly raised them to be independent, to be a responsible member of society, right? Whatever that might look like. And yet we have to also understand that they are being influenced not just by us, not just by their parents, by their friends, by their teachers, by what they see on social media, what they see on TV, what they hear on the radio. They are being influenced on a daily. We have to just pray that when you are raising them, when you are influencing them, when you are giving them the foundational pieces, that it is solid enough that as they waver off, they know to come back to the very thing that was solid, that was hard and concrete for them, right? Um, that the next one would be that you need a credit card to boost your credit scores. You do not. And I know it's hard to believe. I know it is. I know it is. And even if you have a bunch of credit cards, because I think I have three, three, three or four now. Think about it. Because I thought the same thing. I thought you have to have credit cards in order to get your credit score up, right? And yet I have all these credit cards. My credit score is slowly climbing. Yet think of the amount of that I had to put myself into just to get to that point. You don't have to do it. It's because we were never taught financial literacy early. My goal today is to influence you and to really inspire you to find the right financial advisor to get you on the right track, to look at your budget, to look at what you're spending your money on, and really get yourself a budget. Right? The financial planner, I'm sorry, the planner journal is ready. It's just waiting for print. So make sure that you keep your ears tuned in for that. As soon as I can get someone, if you know someone that is a publisher that can print at a decent rate, please make sure and send it to me at rareresilientconversations@gmail.com. I love to hear from you, or just in my inbox on any social media platform. All right. Had to throw that in there. So the other one would be that most people feel like you have to have a 4-year degree in order for you to be successful, but that is not true. If you think about it, people like plumbers, electricians, operator room technicians, what's another one? What's another job that you don't need a 4-year degree? LPN, dental hygienists, plumbers. These are people that we need right in our day-to-day life. But if we only felt like the people that had the 4-year degree were the ones that were significant or that made a difference in our world, where would we be without them? The people that service us at our fast food restaurants, the people that take care of us, like stocking the grocery lines and ringing us up at the grocery stores, the auto parts stores. We need these people, auto mechanics, right? So without them, the people that are doing the 4-year degrees, wonderful, we need them too. But the people that are doing tech training, that are going to get the 2-year certifications and degrees, we need these people as well. So don't think that only the people that have 4-year degrees have fallen for the mindset that if I don't have a 4-year degree, I am not significant in today's world. Yes, you are. You are very much needed, very necessary, and we appreciate you. We acknowledge you. We love you. We thank you. Those that take care of our sanitary works when it comes to taking out the trash, people that work in the sewers, people that work in the water to make sure we have clean water. We appreciate you and we love you. We thank you. Other one is that God is a mean God and only looking for injustice. Let me tell you something. God knew you before you were formed in your mother's womb. God knew you. Every hair on your head was already counted before you laid your foot onto this earth. God loves you. God wants only the best for you, right? Think about this. How many of you, those of you that have children, you tell them don't eat the food as soon as it comes out of the oven, as soon as it comes out of the microwave, right? Because it's what? It's hot. It's dangerous. It's not what they need to do. They're going to injure their tongues, injure their mouths, damage their mouth. So guess what? You say, don't do it. Wait, give it time to cool down, right? It's the same thing that God does with us. He only is protecting us from the things that we can see, danger, seen and unseen, known and unknown. So he wants to make sure and tell you, no, you can't have it. Anytime that we hear the word no, we automatically assume that it's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It is a timely thing. Every time I get into these quote unquote relationships that I think I just need and I have to have friendships, intimate partners, and then it doesn't work out. And then I'm like, well, how did I fall for these relationships? How did I fall in these situations? How did I fall in these business partnerships? How? Why? Right? And it's only because God is saying, no, it's too hot. No, it's too dangerous. No, it's not what is necessary for the next step that I am taking you in your life. And when that happens, be grateful. Be grateful. God only wants to protect us, right? So remember, you're the head and not the tail. You are above only and never beneath. You are called for greatness, right? You are blessed and never cursed. You are elected and selected to be a part of this day and time, right? You are the apple of God's eye. He loves you. He adores you. He blesses you day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute, second by second, right? So don't let your unconscious expectations take over your life, make you fall for the okie doke. All right. So for me, helping people has become the role in my purpose. My purpose is to train people, to help people see things in a different light, to remind them of the things that we're falling for right now. Because in this season, we're falling for a lot of things. But my purpose right now is for you to understand what your role and your purpose is, but to get through these nuances of things called life, right? When you fall in love with your purpose, fall for that, right? Don't fall for the things that are pushing you one step further back. Fall in love, fall forward, right? So I hope that you have enjoyed tonight's show. We have gone over our time by a couple minutes here, but I really wanted to make sure I can get all that information out to you. If I have said something that has blessed you, that has jump started your resiliency by giving you the tools for you to be successful to assist in your present day life, your future aspirations, and the generations to come. I pray that you will take the time out to share, like, subscribe so you don't miss out. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss out each and every time that we come on the second and fourth Monday of the month. We love you. We thank you. We appreciate you. With love, honor, joy, peace, I give back to you. I pray nothing less but the best for you. Until then, see you soon. Bye-bye. Oh, come back on the 28th of October. I almost forgot. Y'all was going to let me forget. Come back on the 28th of October. We're going to talk about don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid on the 28th of October. Same time, same place, the same pace. Love you. See you soon. Bye-bye.